Yes, friends, what's going on? Welcome back to Football Therapy. It's all popping off.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Deadline day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Football Learning English. Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I do hope you're doing well. I really do hope that. Yes, I'm well aware the sniper is out to get me. So, if my head explodes in this episode today, remember me as a sweet, sweet boy. Yes, and I'm also well aware, now looking at the software I'm recording on, I am actually, and have accidentally dressed as Antonio Banderas for today's video. So, apologies for that, and let's talk about Chelsea. Anyway, strap yourselves in. Thank you for liking and subscribing to this channel, Football Therapy. I really appreciate your support, man. Genuinely, love the support from you guys. Of course, many of you have joined me on my other journey of Football Yannick, my second channel, where I talk all things football. Very, very humble to see all the support for that channel as well. Do consider checking it out, Football Yannick on YouTube. It's like Football Therapy, but you just swap the therapy for Yannick, and that's me. Alright then, Chelsea are looking to do loads of business deals today, and this on the deadline. This on the day of the transfer deadline. Loads of outgoings. Of course, we're expecting Chelsea to announce Cole Palmer today, which we can do, if it happens. Also, Chelsea have announced the third kit, and I must say, as a guy who was born in 1989 and, grew up in the 90s, I loved the 90s release video. To be honest, Chelsea's kit release videos have all been really, really impressive this season. This new team they've got in on the new ownership, they're doing a good job. And what can I say? I'm a sucker. As you can see behind me, I bought the Trevoh. Behind that is the home kit. I mean, you have to buy the home kit. To be honest, you probably have to buy all the kits because there's no sponsor, and that's rare and cool. So, I have bought the away kit. Vapor kit is so expensive. Look, man. I'm not digging out Chelsea directly. Football kits this day and age are too expensive. For the working man who wants to buy their kids or their dad's football shirts, it's just too expensive. Anyway, I'm rambling on like a boomer. Let's talk about transfers. Alright, we're going to talk about Conor Gallagher, we're going to talk about Trevoh Chalobah, and we're going to talk about Callum Hudson-Odoi, free Chelsea Cobham graduates. Ooh, the potential for pure profit on the books is unmatched. It's out of this world, man. Loads of money potentially on the cards. Let's start talking about Callum Hudson-Odoi. Transition, please. Yes, so Fabrizio Romano has given the here we go for Callum Hudson-Odoi to Nottingham Forest. Now, obviously we've got a relationship with Forest. We've given them Andre Santos on loan, which should be a great loan signing for them. And Hudson-Odoi, look, man, we need to talk about this a little bit. He deserves... I don't think he's done himself the most amount of favours, Hudson-Odoi, in his Chelsea career, with his advisors, with his choices, not going to England under-21s when he was called up because he'd already got a senior cap. When people like Conor Gallagher went back, and look, he's just like a regular in the England team now, he didn't make the right decisions. Hudson-Odoi, he got really unlucky with that Achilles injury. But loads of people, Nazar Kinsella said it the other day on the London is Blue podcast, but not just him, like Reece James's dad, who's a football coach, loads of people the Chelsea Academy say Callum Hudson-Odoi is the most talented player to ever come out of Chelsea's academy. Your Mason Mounts, your Reece James, your Loftus-Cheeks, your whatever, John Terry's, I suppose. But all these players, the most gifted player to ever come out, the best player to come out of Chelsea's academy is Callum Hudson-Odoi. And that is a story people have maintained, by the way. And yeah, I can see it. I always tell the story here, so apologies for sounding like a broken record. But I saw the first goal and assist when he was 17 at Stamford Bridge, and I was like, well, we don't have to worry about Hazard replacement. This kid is absolutely. But he looked more direct than Hazard, as in he dribbled. He was a wild card. He was a wide winger who can come inside and scare the crap out of opposition players. But he looked like he was way more direct, and he was just going to score way more goals than Eden Hazard. So remember there was a time as well Bayern Munich were earmarking him for a £70 million transfer, and that's before transfers weren't even as crazy as they are now. They saw him as their Jadon Sancho in Germany. Of course, Sancho was tearing it up at Dortmund at the time, but they thought he was better. Again, like Nazar Kinsella said on the podcast, that he used to start over Bukayo Saka at youth levels for England, and he's the one that started. Bukayo Saka rode the bench. Bukayo Saka's just won PFA Young Player of the Year. He is tearing up in the Premier League on like 300k a week for Arsenal, playing in the Champions League. It's all decision making, man. It's like Tammy Abraham and Dom Solanke. They both were tearing it up, but Dom Solanke was probably higher rated than Tammy in the Chelsea Academy, but Tammy went on loan to Bristol, to Swansea, to Villa. Dom didn't want to go on loan, and Tammy ultimately got on the Chelsea team, was a Chelsea striker for a while, won the Champions League. Of course, it went to Roma and, won a European trophy, and then Dom got relegated with Bournemouth and stuff. It's all about decision making, and maybe Callum didn't make the right decisions along the way. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about him because it's like, not the one that got away, but like the talent that never was. And, he's 21, 22. If he settles at Forest, plays, he'll get another move. And by the time he's 25, he could be a top tier elite footballer again. Who knows if we got a buyback, but I think cutting ties entirely is probably the way to go. Right, before we talk about the really peculiar situation of Conor Gallagher, let's talk about what the secret scout is saying on Trevoh Chalobah. Now, we know, of course, Bayern Munich have been trying to get him. Thomas Tuchel wants him. They want a centre-back that can play centre-back and right-back, essentially replacing Benjamin Pavard. And Trevoh Chalobah can do that. He's played right-back and centre-back for Tuchel. Tuchel likes the young English Premier League players. He thinks their fitness level and professionalism translates well to the Bundesliga. And he really wants Trevoh Chalobah. The Secret Scout tweets this: understand Chelsea are looking at letting Trevoh Chalobah go on loan, as it's unlikely they will get a permanent move for him on deadline day. So Bayern Munich remains the likely destination, and the player welcomes the move. Expect more updates shortly. Should they keep him? Okay, well, so Bayern Munich have been trying to get him for a while, but they wanted a loan. Chelsea were adamant they won't loan him. If they do get rid of him, it will be a sale. Much like the Romelu Lukaku situation, of course, Chelsea bent the rules for that. Lukaku's gone on loan. And seemingly, Trevoh Chalobah will go on loan as well if this does indeed happen. Now, people will think, there'll be many, many believers of Trevoh thinking, why is this happening? Why have we even bought Disassi? It should be Trevoh who comes in for the injured Wesley Fofana. Of course, Trevoh is injured at the moment, so there is that. But, long term, so why are you buying Disassi? And then, And now to sell him or loan him, look, it looks like maybe Chelsea see Pochettino doesn't fancy him, maybe. I mean, obviously he's injured, sorry, but if they're planning on doing this, that is testament to perhaps how he's perceived in the Chelsea squad. Again, he of course represents pure profit on the books for Chelsea Football Club and the owners in a time when they've spent, or they've amortised a lot of spend over a long period. Let's just, how much did Ruben Loftus-Cheek go? 20 million, 15 million. So let's just say, look, Mason Mount 60 million, Kai Havertz 65 million, that's 125. And then, say, is that right? Yeah, then say 150 with Ruben, and then 185 with, I hope my maths are right, Lewis Hall, 35 million on top there. If you had Trevoh and Gallagher, this pure profit that you could just dump onto the books immediately, Chelsea could be in the green, man, after whatever crazy spend they've done. So it's very, very alluring for the owners, big time. Trevoh Chalobah, I mean, I'm okay, I guess, with it. What it does mean is you think Bashir Humphreys will stay. Of course, he started in the cup game midweek. Did pretty well. He obviously was playing as a right back, but then moved inside to play his native centre back. If Trevoh goes, they'll keep Bashir Humphreys, surely. They keep him around as backup. You'd think they'd have to, surely. And then Trevoh Chalobah, he'll go on loan. It will be probably a shop window. He's just signed a new deal. He's got a long contract. So he'll go there, say he goes to Bayern Munich, he plays well. The fans fall in love with him. He starts every game. Tuchel likes him. I don't know if he'd start every game or start a lot of games. And come the end of the season, they're like, yeah, we need to keep Trevoh Chalobah. And then they buy him for, I don't know if we'll get Chelsea 50 million, but if they get 40 million quid for Trevoh Chalobah, then it's a massive, massive deal on the books that Chelsea Football Club can't say no to. And it'll be sad, kind of, but he's never really been that sort of like top name of the Cobham Academy graduate. It's easy for me to say. You know, it was always like the other guys, you know, and maybe that's because he's a centre-back. It's not sexy, but yeah, shame. Let me know what you think of Trevoh Chalobah. All right, the biggest one that unsettles me, and I think by gauging the fan opinion on social media, is the possibility of a deadline day exit for Conor Gallagher, especially to Tottenham. Conor Gallagher's had an excellent pre-season. He's reiterated over and over, both to Pochettino in conversations and indeed the Chelsea media, and I think the whole media as well, football media when addressed, that he loves Chelsea. He comes from a family of Chelsea fans. He'd play for Chelsea for free, saying all the right things, especially after Mason Mount, you know, chased the bag to Manchester United. He sort of was very smart in making that statement quite quickly about how he loves Chelsea and just wants to do anything he can to play for Chelsea. And he's been one of our better players. So, especially with all these aforementioned academy players going on pure profit, do you need to sell Conor Gallagher? I mean, it's been a weird situation with Conor Gallagher because he's always been sort of available for sale. Because Chelsea are like, oh, this guy, you know, like Mason Mount, this guy can make X amount. And do we really need him? Well, we've got, you know, Nkunku to play in the 10. We've got Chukwuemeka. We've got all these new double pivot midfielders. We've got Andre Santos and Cesare Casadei to come in the long term. But Conor Gallagher is Chelsea's senior midfielder, which is just absolutely mind-blowing. Let's read what Cy Phillips is writing on his website. Welcome to the end of a long 3-month transfer window that has seen dramas, upsets, celebrations and everything else in between, especially if you're a Chelsea fan. Amen, Cy. The Blues have done some incredible business in summer in terms of bringing in top new players, as well as getting out a lot of deadwood. There has been some exciting moments and some dramatic ones, but one of the biggest deals that could still happen today would be centred around midfielder Conor Gallagher. Most outlets are suggesting he could still leave Chelsea today, with Tottenham in particular weighing up a move. Wow. But will Chelsea entertain it? And would he entertain a move to Tottenham? I'll have to ask. Well, journalist Ben Jacobs believes they would, but only if the fee matches their valuation, which is 45 to 50 million quid. They want 50 million quid for Trevoh Chalobah. Surely Conor Gallagher, as this guy, tenacious, constantly getting called up for the England squad, he's got to be worth more, and he's got a goal in him, and goals cost money. So, speaking to Give Me Sport, Jacob said this: with Conor Gallagher, he's under consideration by Tottenham. Again, he's been since July. He's always been in the shop window. But Gallagher captained Chelsea yesterday against Wimbledon. He's on record saying he doesn't think his chapter with Chelsea is over. Lewis Hall, by the way, said that the same week before he signed to Newcastle. But Lewis Hall's a Newcastle fan. Gallagher comes from a family of Chelsea fans. And that's probably naive me saying that, because careers and money, you know, fandom doesn't come into it. But, you know, he extended his deal at Chelsea, signed a 6+1 year contract, spoke very highly of Chelsea, and then 7 days later, he was, of course, Newcastle, Lewis Hall. But Gallagher, if he ends up staying at Chelsea, should an offer arrive that's suitable to all parties, is quite happy to stay and fight for his place, even if the arrivals of Lavia and Caicedo with them. Pochettino wants the size squad down significantly, but does he want Gallagher gone? Because he keeps playing him. And as a result, there will be a flurry of outgoings at Chelsea, so we have to watch Gallagher's future right up to the end of the window. But if Spurs do move, then it's going to be a minimum, and I stress, minimum of 45 million quid, more like 50 million quid. Otherwise, Chelsea are happy to keep Gallagher at least until January. At least until January. Poor Gallagher can't catch a break. Just works really hard, trains really hard, super professional, says all the right things, plays pretty well, and just forever in the shop window. But it's kind of like he's in this peculiar half space because he's so good and like professional. He represents this like not undroppable figure, but this like really like potentially juicy asset of like that people want. This guy always, you know, doesn't start for England, but he always comes off the bench for England. He often starts for Chelsea. He's young. He's got loads of Premier League experience. He's got Premier League goals in him. He can play in different positions. His injury record is fantastic. He just stays fit. He's a good lad. This is the kind of stuff that you want when you buy a player. You know, you're not buying like he's not going to be like the fabled defensive midfielder that everyone wants. He's not like, you know, like a goal scorer that costs loads of money. but he's still a really like an asset that everyone wants. I would be kind of gutted now if we sold Conor Gallagher, especially if he went to Tottenham. I wouldn't really be angry at him if he went to Tottenham, because we know he loves Chelsea, but he's also this really passionate, driven guy. He's being pushed out. Like, if he goes to, I won't have a bad feeling about him. Do you know what I mean? I'll be like, okay, well, he just wants to play football and progress his career. He really wants to do it at Chelsea. He's doing everything right. If Chelsea want to sell him to Tottenham, say, look, mate, we're gonna get 50 million quid for you here. You can go and start every. Forget it's Tottenham for a moment. You can start every week in this massive stadium. The gaffer's got a good feeling there, and you'll be continued to be picked for England and all that kind of stuff. You might just go, and a bigger contract, of course, of a decent amount of money. I'd be sad to see him go, and I would not like that. If I had to choose, I'd choose Trevoh Chalobah, which is pretty sad. But there's nothing against him. It's just the way it is. I'll be very keen to learn what you guys think, so please do leave your comments down in the section where one leaves comments. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and I would waft you gently over to my second channel to go show your support, and please do subscribe to Football Yannick. Alright friends, thank you. I'll see you soon. Peace.